interesting.
Do you like him because you think he'll actually carry out his campaign promise? Like Obama said, he was going to get us out of all the wars. He said he had a timetable and all of that. Now we're in now we're in Libya. Probably to be in there forever.
Gitmo's still open.
That's right. So all of these promises were not like you could say, okay, with the budget that's difficult, with healthcare that's difficult. But one thing to pull out of a war, if you say you're going to do it, you should do it, right?
Well, you need Ron Paul's quote. Everybody says, "Well, how do we get out of Iraq now?" Ron Paul said, "Easy. We walked in, we can walk out."
That's it.
That's it. It's as simple as that.
Do you think that what a president learns when he takes that office, because surely Obama wasn't lying when he said he wanted to do all those things prior to, but then you walk into the office, you get a set of information that you didn't know before you walked into the office.
The CIA takes you aside and says, "Listen, asshole, here's what's really going on."
You got it, Howard.
Right.
So
you got it.
You think,
I think he got taken to the woodshed.
And that's what's going to happen to Ron Paul as well.
What do you mean he got taken to the woodshed?
Well, I think that I don't believe that our president runs our country anymore.
Right. He doesn't.
Because always follow the money. The Federal Reserve has all the money. This small group of bankers, they determine because they got the money.
Anybody in government has said government is like a barge. In order to move just an inch, the president really, it's almost an impossible job to fuck up and also to win. It's like, it's just sort of there.
Yeah, the bureaucracy is so large.
Right.
So large.
Do you, now let me understand that. I don't know if this is from the book. I think it is. One of your points is, and you're not saying this for a fact, but you have a suspicion that the disease AIDS and Lyme disease has something to do with the government?
Oh, absolutely.
What does that mean?
Well, straight out from where you live at the end of Long Island is Plum Island.
Right.
Well, Plum Island is a biological testing center that was created by a guy named Erich Traub. Erich Traub's a Nazi who was right under Himmler. He should have stood trial at Nuremberg, but instead we brought him here, and his expertise was biological warfare, infecting wood ticks and mosquitoes and turning them loose. Well, Lyme disease is carried by a wood tick. Well, it's called Lyme disease because the first recorded case was in Lyme, Connecticut, which is right across the water.
In other words, you're saying Lyme disease is a recent occurrence. We don't see it before that point in history.
The first recorded case was in Lyme, Connecticut a number of years ago, within the last 50 years. And did it get loose from Plum Island?
You say in your new book, and I happen to agree with this, I believe that you are right, that the Gulf War syndrome, that a lot of these guys who are coming back in our military are seriously screwed up, committing suicide, not only are they killing themselves, they're killing other people. They really lose it when they come back. The government refuses to help these guys in any meaningful way. And it all comes down to money. They don't want to pay for it. Is that it?
Sure. And it's the old classic that they do to all veterans. Oh, thank you for your patriotism. Rah, rah,
thank you for
rah.
your service.
Yeah. And they play anthems at football games.
People tie yellow ribbons.
But when it comes down to actually taking care of the veteran, screw you. They've done it every war. Vietnam, Agent Orange, they didn't believe that. Every time the vets come home, people don't realize after a war there is huge collateral damage to the people that go fight these wars, and we don't take care of them. It's like, oh, you did it, now forget you. We're on to the next.
And these are good guys. I mean, these are brave guys. I've met a couple of guys on my show who come in here. I can't think of the sergeant who used to come in here.
And I
came back. It was like his third tour of duty, and he cracked. He even said, Howard, I cracked. I've got Gulf War syndrome. He feels abandoned. He really, truly does.
And we do.
Lost.
We should be ashamed of how we treat our veterans.
We were talking on the air the other day. I was going to call you about this, but I knew you were coming in. We were talking about, some people were doubting me about that we are really losing bees. In fact, some guy called in during this discussion with my cousins.
He's got trucks full of bees.
I've got trucks full of bees, Howard. What the hell are you talking about? What is going on? If we lose the bees, we lose all of our food source. We lose everything, right?
Albert Einstein's a lot smarter than me, and he was quoted as saying, when the bees go, we go.
Well, think about it. They pollinate. They pollinate. Our food source comes from all of this. Everything we eat.
We don't need that now. We got Monsanto. They're going to make us all this genetically food. So what do we need to worry about bees for?
In your opinion, why are we losing bees? Like, where are they going?
Insecticides. They're being killed. All the insecticides and things that we put on the crops.
But I am for DDT.
You're what?
I'm for DDT.
Well, I was part of UDT.
I'm part of DDT. I don't like these bed bugs we have here. There's an epidemic in New York. You can't go anywhere without bed bugs. When they had
George had bed bugs.
George, Star Trek had bed bugs. Him and George were in that, George and Brad were in that bed doing God knows what, and then all of a sudden they're getting bitten up by bugs. I was livid. The only thing when we had DDT, there were no bed bugs.
Wait a minute now.
Come on.
George,
Yeah.
is that because, the Bible says you're not supposed to do what you do? You think that's what it could be?
No,
I think it's a plague.
probably
It's like a
sitting in
sign.
Well,
the
you, George.
It wasn't only in George's bed. It was in everybody's bed. I'm saying, some of these insecticides are necessary, aren't they?
Yes, but not on crops, not on everything. Howard, when I live in Mexico and I buy fruits and vegetables down there, I have to eat them within 2 days or they spoil.
Right.
Everything up here's got a 30-day shelf life.
It's true. I buy a tomato. Sometimes it says red and beautiful.
For weeks.
What are they doing to these tomatoes?
They put preservatives on it, chemicals. You're eating chemicals.
And this has now been introduced into the environment, and the bees
Okay, here's a better one, Howard. Drinking water. They put fluoride in it, right?
Right.
And that's because we're not capable of brushing our own teeth and taking care of them.
we can get our own fluoride.
Yeah, so they put it in. Do you know what fluoride is the main ingredient of?
What?
Prozac.
Why do they do this?
And guess where it came from? The
Where?
Nazis started putting fluoride in the water.
Do you think this is are you
It's the
going as
dumbing
far?
down.
Do you think that there is somebody or some group of people in America that wanted fluoride so that we'd all be spaced out?
Yeah.
Who are
Well,
these people? Give me a
I
name.
don't know.
Who is it?
Howard, I don't
What?
know.
You know.
You got the... I don't. How would I know? I
George
live in
and Brad.
Mexico for 4 months out
Who
of the
is
year.
You know, the one thing I do say is if you're polluting the water, the air, the food, the people who are doing that are still eating it.
No, they have their own source.
They have another source of
Yes, from
food,
the moon.
water, and air?
I don't know.
How do you know, Robin?
You don't know anything.
Well, that's what I'm asking, because it seems to me that if, Monsanto owns the patent on every crop seed, then, they're going to have to eat that food, too.
You don't know. They may be just having us do it.
Listen, I went to summer
By
camp.
the way, Howard,
I
there's
went
something
to
in this
summer
book you need to read.
I wanted to say one thing. I went to summer camp. We'll talk about the book. I went to summer camp. They used to put saltpeter in the food. You know why? It reduced your sex drive. They didn't want the kids.
Is that true?
This is what I heard. They said they've added saltpeter to the food. And I was livid.
But you weren't any less horny.
Oh, my God. I fucked like a rabbit. Unbelievable.
That's because you didn't eat.
That's right.
Look how skinny you are.
Well, you're about to make a point about your book. Go ahead. And by the way,
no,
the book is called 63 Documents the Government Doesn't Want You to Read. It's in stores now. And also, I should mention that the governor, yes, the governor will be signing copies of his book tonight. For some reason, he wants to meet you. From 7 to 9 at Bookends in Ridgewood, New Jersey. Tomorrow night from 7 to 9 at the Barnes & Noble in Fresh Meadows, New York. And Thursday night from 7:30 to 9 at the Barnes & Noble in Clifton, New Jersey. George, are you learning anything through this? You've been awfully...
It's very enlightening.
Very enlightening.
I've been against wars, too. And all the information that I'm hearing here just makes me feel stronger about that.
Were you aware of the governor now? Or
I thought he was a wonderful governor of Minnesota.
You liked him?
I liked him. I really
Thank you, George.
admired what you did. And particularly coming from your background, where people try to denigrate you because of your wrestling background.
George loves wrestling.
Well, let me say this about George and his partner. I worked for 4 years in Minnesota so that gay employees could get benefits.
Right.
I was successful. Well, guess what happened? Right when I left office
Overturned.
and the new contract came up, it was the first thing that the Democrats bargained back to the Republicans, and now gays in Minnesota don't get. They had the benefits for a couple years. Now they've taken them away again.
Is that why you never became a Democrat or Republican, that you don't trust either side?
Yeah, they're the only way we're going to get our country back is to destroy these two political parties.
Because you would think the Democrats would have stuck up for the gay population in Minnesota.
No, that's the gay population is just their bargaining chip. That's
Exactly.
That's the first thing they give back to the Republicans.
And George, teach the governor how to say tsunami properly.
There's a T in front of that word. It's pronounced tsunami. It's a Japanese word. And all these journalists on TV and radio.
And I believe the
say-
governor is
The
guilty of
governor
this.
himself,
The
yeah.
governor
Yes, I heard you
himself
say it
said
too.
tsunami.
Yeah, well,
Tsunami.
yeah, I apologize, George. You know,
should
what
be-
the hell? I didn't go to college.
He never went to college. I mean,
Well, now you're learning as I'm learning from you.
There we
That's
go.
right.
But Howard, there's something in my book you need.
yes.
What's that?
We print the entire CIA's assassination manual in here. Read it, and you'll know how to get rid of those people you don't like.
Why do I need to know that?
Well,
Seriously.
that way you'll know how to commit murder.
Has the CIA assassinated, have they successfully gone into other countries and assassinated leaders?
Well, they
'Cause I'm for that.
They assassinated Che Guevara.
They did.
Sure.
So they were able to do that. Why couldn't they do that with Castro? Why did they never pull that off?
Well, what gives them the right?
I'm
But
not
why-
saying so.
Howard,
Why did they
Yeah.
fail? But why did they
Because
fail?
Castro's too good.
He's good at it.
He's too good for them. They can't get him. They
Why not
tried and tried and tried, and Fidel outsmarted them.
You know, why not Gaddafi? Why couldn't they just go in and remove him?
What gives us the right to
We
do
don't.
that?
But why didn't they do it?
I don't know. These guys have protection too.
Are we torturing people right now? Prisoners.
I think we probably are. Yeah.
Have we beheaded anybody?
Yes, it's in my book. Yeah.
That's right. So who is it that we beheaded?
Some guy over in Iraq
What do you mean we beheaded him?
cut his head off.
We were in Iraq. We captured him during wartime.
Yep.
He wasn't convicted of anything.
I don't know, but the documents in here. But
So
that's what
sometimes
they
we
did.
do that. Why do you think we beheaded him? To scare the other prisoners?
Don't ask me.
I was going to say,
You don't know.
can't
Who
talk
knows?
to somebody who's
Talk to the guys that beheaded them.
Well, you better get on them.
They might be able to tell you why they did it.
Might be your next book.
The whole point of torture was to make these people talk. If you're beheading people, they're not talking.
Well, the bad thing, though, Robin, about torture is that there's no credibility in it.
I don't agree with torture.
Because if you torture someone, they are going to say whatever's required to stop the torture. The thing that has me angry now is, do you see the latest? They're not going to try these guys in the country. They're going to give them a military tribunal.
Well, they wanted to try him in New York. I was against that.
Why?
Because why the hell do you need to set up a problem area in the Manhattan where we already have all these problems?
Try them in Alaska.
But you don't want a secret tribunal.
No.
You want it out in the open.
Well, either that or let me be on the jury. Because I want to hear the evidence.
Right.
I want to hear for what you're not going to hear one shred of evidence now. They're going to do this kangaroo court. They're going to put these guys to death, and then they're going to tell, all you conspiracy people, we proved it. These guys were all
They
found
had a
guilty.
trial.
Your
They
whole
had-
push is to bring out things in the open. That's why you like WikiLeaks. That's why you wrote this book. You want to, let's
Exactly.
bring it all out in the open.
you
Why
know-
is everyone
and,
hiding?
And you know why I have every right to ask that?
Why?
Because I'm a taxpayer, and they do it with my money, and I have every right to know what they're spending my money on.
What happens when they say, in the interest of national security, we can't tell you something? You say bullshit, right?
Well, no, I'll accept that temporarily. As a Navy SEAL, I know there are certain things you can't talk about immediately.
Right.
But after the op's over, why then can it come out in the open?
When you're alone in Mexico, and you just
I'm not alone. My wife's
All
with
right.
me.
Well, listen. When you're alone, that's like being alone. When you're alone in Mexico,
You ever see my wife?
I've seen your wife.
It ain't like being alone,
But when
Howard.
you're in Mexico, you're a guy who loves to talk. You're outgoing. Do you shut down, or do you yap all day about
No, I
this
shut
stuff?
down.
You shut down.
Yeah,
And
that's
did she
what-
ever say to you, Jesse, you're the life of the party on Stern, on all these shows. Well, you come home, you're like a fucking zombie. I mean, what is that?
I'm not a zombie, but
Right.
I try to keep that out of my home life.
You don't sit and tell her about this. You don't go. Do you sit at home and go, Jesus Christ?
When are you doing your
Sometimes,
studying and investigations? Yeah, you must
Well,
go crazy.
What's your wife like? Does she go, listen, you better calm down. You're going to have a heart attack here, and I can't take it.
No,
Does she get
she-
annoyed with you?
No.
She's not into these conspiracies. She's not that. She wants to just hang out and have a good time.
No, she has now joined me in suspecting our government of a great deal of bad.
But she's not all hopped up on this like you are. I mean, come on.
I'm not hopped up on it.
I
I just do what I do, Howard.
So
and
when we get together socially, are you going to lecture me on a lot of this stuff, or
Not at all.
what are we going to talk about? That's what I'm afraid. But maybe our relationship is just based on all this stuff. What are we going to talk about?
well, Howard, you won't ever come and see me. You hide
I'm
out in
afraid.
Long Island.
First of all, Mexico's a crazy place right
No,
now.
it
What
isn't
isn't.
part of Mexico are you
I
in? Not
won't
where
go
all
in-
the drugs are.
I mean, what are you doing in Mexico? You're telling me that it's not a dangerous place right now?
There are places that are dangerous, absolutely.
Do you
Along
travel
the
with a
border,
gun in Mexico?
You can't have a gun. It's against the law.
But everybody has a gun in Mexico.
No,
Only
they
the
don't.
drug dealers have that.
Only the drug dealers got
These
'em.
drug dealers are so powerful. They can decide, Jesse Ventura, we're going to take you today, and no one's going to challenge. There's no law.
Oh, that's not true, because the military came and camped out by my house the other day.
Why?
I don't know. I guess they found out a former governor.